Here are today's top stories. COMELEC vows to investigate the wet ballots and other alleged irregularities in the recount of votes in the vice presidential elections. Malacanang assures the public of enough rice supply despite the supposed shortage of NFA rice in the market. Regional officials prepare a contingency plan for the impending closure of Boracay. And the DOH is alarmed as measles cases in Central Luzon increased by 41% in the first quarter of the year. Good day. I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, will look into the wet ballots issue raised by former Senator Bongbong Marcos as the recount or revision proceedings of the vice presidential elections begin. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said they will look into these claims closely based on the published general instructions governing the conduct of the 2016 national and local elections. The general instructions set guidelines for the Board of Election Inspectors in securing ballot boxes, minutes, printed election returns, and ballots. Marcos, who personally observed the recount, raised several issues such as the wet condition of the ballots and missing clustered precinct audit logs in a municipality in Camarines Sur. Attorney Romulo Macalintal, lead counsel of Vice President Leni Robredo, said Marcos cannot use alleged wet ballots as a ground for his protest. He suggested that Marcos request a copy of ballot images from the COMELEC to view the contents of the ballots. Macalintal also said the absence of audit logs in the ballot boxes and the presence of wet ballots do not necessarily mean that there is poll fraud. Malacanang assures the public that the country's rice supply is more than sufficient despite the low stock of the NFA rice. Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Menardo Guevara made this assurance despite media reports that some areas in Luzon have been experiencing an NFA rice shortage. Guevara, however, said the government will continue to monitor rice traders to prevent price manipulation. President Rodrigo Duterte attended a special NFA Council meeting on March 19 on the procurement process for the importation of 250,000 metric tons of rice. Deputy Executive Director of the Office of the Cabinet Secretary Jonah Soriano said the imported rice will arrive next month. Soriano said the procurement process would not be tainted with corruption and should follow international bidding standards. Solicitor General Jose Calida welcomed the Supreme Court's decision to set oral arguments on the quo warranto petition seeking to nullify the appointment of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Calida said Sereno herself should address the petition head-on. He maintained that the petition for quo warranto will tackle whether Sereno is a person of proven integrity as of all members of the judiciary. Calida also lauded the decision of the High Court to deny the petition of Makabayan Bloc to intervene on the quo warranto petition. The High Court meanwhile noted the intervention petition filed by the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. The IBP indicated Sereno could only be removed through impeachment as stated by the 1987 Constitution. Sereno has earlier asked the SC to dismiss the petition on technical grounds, particularly for lack of jurisdiction and violation of the one-year prescription period for the filing of such petitions. The SC has set the oral arguments on April 10 at the Supreme Court Session Hall in Baguio City. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, announced that more road repairs would be conducted along EDSA every weekend until November this year. The private contractor of the DPWH will be conducting road works along EDSA southbound from Eugenio Lopez Drive to Scout Borromeo in Quezon City from April 6 to 8. The road repairs will continue on parts of EDSA until Pinatubo Street in Cubao in the succeeding weekends until November 4. The road works are part of maintenance activities to improve EDSA's badly damaged pavement. The MMDA asked contractors to observe guidelines in parking their equipment and the right procedure in pouring concrete to minimize obstructions along EDSA. The DPWH has started road reblockings on EDSA since March. Motorists are advised to avoid EDSA and use the Mabuhay lanes and other alternate routes to avoid heavy traffic. The Philippine Public Safety College released its findings on the alleged assault of the new graduates of PNPA Maragtas class of 2018. Board of Inquiry Chair Dr. Romeo Magsalo said a small group of misguided cadets participated in the beating after allegedly being threatened. The board questioned why the perpetrators were not arrested immediately after the incident and why the victims relented to the assault. The board also noted the lack of uniformed personnel supervising the cadets, as well as the lack of access of security guards in the dormitory where the incident happened. The PPSC has submitted its recommendation to the PNPA to prevent similar incidents from happening again. Still to come, Davao City reports a 21% increase in tax collection in January and February this year. Regional officials prepare a contingency plan for the impending closure of Boracay. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Mano po ate? Lako no kawa. Lalu daw ano po kangitan wa.
Sana tahu lah.
Sa DSWD.
Agingat.
DSWD.
Agingat. Dito po pala yun, liliban po kayo sa kabila. Tapos sa bandang kanan, may gate po tayo malaki. Pumasok po tayo sa loob.
Magandang umaga po.
Ang serbisyong ating ibinibigay sa mamamayan ay walang kinikiling ng kasarian, estado, relihiyon o kulay. Ito ay dapat ibinabahagi ng may katapatan at may malasakit sa ating kapwa. Ganito ang ating paglilingkod. Marami ang nabibigyan natin ng pag-asa.
Narito naman po ang tanggapan ng DSWD.
Maraming buhay ang ating nababago.
Ang kanilang programa na dapat ibigay sa mga kapitulong.
Buhay wa sa kanyo.
Wala pong anuman, kami taga
DSWD, may malasakit.
The Philippine Competition Commission launched a motu proprio review of the acquisition of Grab Holdings Incorporated by MyTaxi.ph of the assets of Uber BV and Uber Systems. The PCC has opened its own investigation on the Grab and Uber merger after the PCC officials met with representatives of the transport network companies on Monday. The commission said it has yet to receive notification of the transaction from either of the two parties. Since last month, the PCC raised the mandatory notification threshold for merger and acquisition deals to 2 billion pesos for the size of transaction and 5 billion for the size of party from the 1 billion threshold. The antitrust body noted that the sudden merger may adversely affect the interests of both the riding public and partner drivers. Since the transaction does not meet the mandatory notification threshold, the merger can push through. The Commission, however, recognized that the exit of Uber will put Grab in a virtual monopoly in the ride-sharing market. Cavite's micro, small, and medium enterprises are encouraged to join the provincial government's business benchmarking activity scheduled on April 20. The Provincial Cooperative Livelihood and Entrepreneurial Development Office has provided opportunities for some 45 MSMEs to participate in the learning exposure, advancement of entrepreneurial skills, and product development. The participants will visit the production area of Amira's Buko Tart House, the manufacturer of the first and original Buko Tart in Tagaytay City. The day's activity also includes a stop at the Entrepouch in Manila, a known supplier of pouch product packaging. Participants will also attend the 14th Philippine Food Expo 2018 at the SMX Convention Center in Pasay City, where the best in Philippine food products of the world will be on display. Reservation is on first-come and first-served basis, and only paid and confirmed participants will be accommodated during the day. Deadline of payment is on April 16. Davao City has posted a 21% increase in its local tax collection in January and February this year. According to the City Council Committee on Finance, Ways and Means, the city collected a total of 2.59 billion pesos, higher than the 2.1 billion collection last year. Councilor Danilo Dayanghirang said the increase is the result of the tax adjustment that the city implemented after 12 years of not amending the local tax code. For this year, the city has a total budget of 7.6 billion pesos, of which the biggest chunk was allocated for social projects, particularly the Linga Para sa Mahirap program. Dayanghirang said the tax collection will further increase in the next few months of the year 2018 until 2019, as the increase in real property tax is scheduled for implementation in 2019. The Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council and the Regional Peace and Order Council in Western Visayas has met to formulate a contingency plan for the imminent closure of Boracay Island. Office of Civil Defense Region 6 Director Jose Roberto Nunez said the regional disaster body is ready to help the affected sector, whether the decision would be total or partial closure or rehabilitation. He said that the contingency plan would be finalized on their next meeting, possibly next week. Nicanor Faildon, Deputy Administrator of the OCD, said that all sectors would be considered in creating a final plan. Guimaras Governor Samuel Gumarin said the impact of the possible closure or rehabilitation could be mitigated by livelihood projects. At least 36,000 workers are expected to lose their jobs once the island is closed to tourists. The provincial government of South Cotabato is targeting to rehabilitate some 300 severely malnourished children through its expanded nutrition program. Maria Ana Uy, Provincial Nutrition Action Officer, said some 240 recipients would be selected through recommendations from district nutrition program coordinators. The selected children would receive food and milk assistance under a 60-day supplementary feeding program. Meanwhile, 60 malnourished preschool children under the local government's Sagop Bata project, where 6 severely underweight preschoolers from each of the province's 10 towns will be identified as beneficiaries of the project. Local government has been implementing Sagop Bata, which has been spearheaded by the nutrition section of the Provincial Social Welfare and Development Office in the last 16 years. Aside from the feeding program, mothers of the recipients are given access to livelihood and skills training programs to enable them to find stable sources of income. Up next, the PNP launches a sports and music program for personnel and their dependents. The DOH is alarmed as measles cases in Central Luzon increased by 40% in the first quarter of the year. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns. The Philippine National Police formally opened its summer sports training and recreation program. PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa graced the opening ceremony at the PNP Sports Center in Camp Crame. The program aims to promote the overall well-being and health of uniformed and non-uniformed personnel based on the PNP headquarters. This year's training program offers 15 different sports including badminton, basketball, boxing, swimming, table tennis, and taekwondo, among others. Lessons on band instruments such as saxophone, guitar, keyboard, flute, and drums are also offered. De La Rosa said the program is also meant for children of police officers who may be swayed into doing vices such as illegal drugs due to lack of parental supervision and care. All PNP personnel, NUP PNP dependents are duly sponsored or endorsed civilians could participate in the said program. Registration is free and still ongoing at the Headquarters Support Service Office located at Camp Crame. The number of measles cases in Central Luzon increased by 41% in the first quarter of the year. Data from the Department of Health's Regional Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit showed 106 cases of measles from January 1st to March 24 this year, as against 75 last year. Of the 7 provinces in Central Luzon, Pampanga has the highest number of measles cases, followed by Tarlac and Bulacan. A measles outbreak had already been declared in Pampanga and Tarlac. Dr. Jess Fantone, head of the DOH RESU, said there should be 0 cases of measles because it is a preventable disease. Fantone appealed to parents to have their children vaccinated amid reports that they are refusing immunization following the controversy over the Dengvaxia vaccine. He also assured that the DOH regional office has sufficient supplies of vaccines which could be availed for free. The Philippine Football Federation announced the national team that will compete in the AFC Women's Asian Cup. Leading the Philippine team are goalkeeper Ina Palacios and midfielders Patrice Impelido and Sara Castañeda. Bolstering the 23-woman roster are US-based players Riley Bugay and Sarina Bolden. Another notable player is Shalice Baisa, the oldest player in the team at 37. Baisa last played for the Philippines in the 2013 AFF Women's Championship. Meanwhile, despite exploding for 4 goals during the qualifying stage, Eva Madarang failed to crack the final lineup. The Philippine team will face host country Jordan on Friday. The Manila International Airport Authority commended an airport taxi driver who allowed honesty to prevail and returned money left behind by a passenger. Here is our report.
A taxi driver at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport immediately returned $3,000 left by an overseas Filipino worker. Virgilio Legaspi had just arrived from Saudi Arabia on Tuesday and rode an airport cab to take him to a bus station. As Gilbert Punzalan, Golden Star taxi driver, was on his way back to NAIA, he noticed a thick white paper which was beside the handbrake. Inside the white paper were 30 pieces of $100 bills, or the equivalent of about 150,000 pesos. He said he immediately notified his superior so that his boss could coordinate with airport authorities. Legaspi noticed that his money was missing and was able to get back to NAIA about an hour later. After some identity verification, the money was returned to him. He was able to personally thank Punzalan at the NAIA Terminal 1. MIAA General Manager Ed Monreal said he is very proud of Punzalan, an airport-accredited taxi driver, and hopes other taxi drivers would emulate Punzalan's honesty. Monreal noted that small acts of kindness and honesty like this help boost further MIAA's efforts to improve NAIA and the Philippines' image to the world. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Bench Bondo.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's stories. COMELEC vows to investigate the wet ballots and other alleged irregularities in the recount of votes in the vice presidential elections. Malacanang assures the public of enough rice supply despite the supposed shortage of NFA rice in the market. Regional officials prepare a contingency plan for the impending closure of Boracay. And the DOH is alarmed as measles cases in Central Luzon increased by 41% in the first quarter of the year. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And remember, even if today isn't your day, never lose hope because tomorrow is a brand new day full of hope. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm William Theo. Good day.